I want to talk about why people constantly fail at NoFap and how this makes them feel hopeless, and why this hopelessness is actually unfounded and you don't need to feel hopeless. When you attempt something 1,000 times and you fail each time, you can either blame the method or you could blame the problem, right? If I try and jump off a cliff and fly 1,000 times, let's assume I survive each jump, right? Let's say I try to fly 1,000 times, right? A human being, I fail each time. I'm going to think that's an impossibility of physics. Okay, a human being can't fly. It's just not possible. With NoFap, you're in danger of making the same logical equivalence. You say, "Oh, I failed NoFap 1,000 times, therefore quitting porn is extremely hard, if not impossible." The difference is that you're going about quitting porn in a really, really backwards and fucked up way. The thing is, right? Let's say I try to jump off a cliff wearing one of those hang gliders, okay? Well, am I going to fly then? Yeah, probably. Like, probably with 100%, like at least like 99% probability. If I get taught how to use the hang glider properly, and let's say I have a few practice runs and I'm pretty confident, then in the instance where I jump off the cliff wearing this like glider thing, if you don't know what the glider thing, like you like fucking put your hands on there and then this giant like kind of like thing behind you which creates the air pushes up and you can kind of glide. Let's say I jump off the cliff wearing this glider thing. Well, I'm going to succeed, okay? The point is that the goal is the same: flight, human flight. The first time I could jump off a cliff 1,000 times without wearing the hang glider, and I'd fail 1,000 times. I could try it 1,000,000 times. I could try it 10 million times, and I would still fail. Why? Because it's not possible for a human being to fly. Okay. But if I wear this glider thing, it's going to work first time. I'm not saying that the freedom model is going to work first time, although it has done, and people have been messaging me on Telegram like, "Thanks, bro, I'm done." Great. And then you don't hear from them and they come back and like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's like, "Still good?" "Yeah, still good." Okay. So the point is that it's you don't want to make the logical equivalence to say that quitting porn is hard, because you've been going about it in a really, really terrible way. Only in the nofap sphere, well, maybe there are other spheres too, but in the nofap sphere, it's acceptable to have failed 1,000 times using the same method and not change the method. But people don't realize they're even doing a method, because people will believe falsehoods and they don't even see that as part of the method, they just see it as true. For example, if you try and quit porn by believing in the concept of addiction, by believing in dopamine, by believing in objective pleasure, by believing in its ability to relieve emotions, and then you try and use 1,000 methods, all whilst accepting those falsehoods. You try quitting porn using habits, using self-improvement, by doing cold showers, by doing push-ups, by doing mindfulness, by doing all kinds of fancy stuff. It doesn't matter how many attempts you make using those. You could modify your approach every single time. You're still going to fail because you've got a fundamental logical error right at the root. Your premise is fucked. When your premise is fucked, every conclusion that follows that premise is similarly fucked. The problem with the whole nofap space is that a lot of these guys tell you to do different shit like affirmations, visualizations, habits, cold showers, gratitude, working out, eating right, eating different food. These are all not attacking the actual thing that's producing the problem, the beliefs. Okay? The point is that you don't need to feel disheartened about having failed 1,000 times in the past, because you're doing something different now. Okay? And if you make the false equivalence of, "Oh, just because I failed 1,000 times in the past means I'm going to fail next time," you're actually making a logical error, because you're not considering that the test is different this time. If you're doing the same test each time and you failed 1,000 times, yeah, you're going to fail 1,001st probably. But if you change the method, well, you've introduced new variables. Now it's different. It's different now. Do you get what I'm saying? It's different now, and because it's different, because you're doing a different test now, you shouldn't expect the same results. Especially because if you go into it with the mindset of expecting the same results as before, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is the problem, right? When you believe, "Fuck man, I failed 1,000 times before. therefore quitting porn is going to be hard. Then when you try this time, going into the mindset of it's going to be hard because I failed loads in the past, it will become hard. Because if you believe it's going to be hard, that belief and fucking desire go hand in hand. If I believe it's going to be really hard for me to run a marathon, almost impossible, do you think I'm going to try? Whereas when I get it into my head that it's possible to run a marathon, and actually it's going to be easy because I can do it. Well, I can do it. A marathon's actually hard, so maybe that's a bit of a false equivalence. Quitting porn isn't like a marathon. It's not physically hard because there's not anything going on physically. It's all in the mind. With a marathon, like running a marathon is like actually hard because there's like physical constraints. If you're not fit enough, it's going to be fucking hard. But if someone put a gun to your head, I was thinking this the other day. This is really off topic now. Perhaps I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I'm going to go there anyway. This was about a week and a half ago. I was thinking as I was walking to the gym. If someone, let's say I didn't sleep for one night, right? And then someone said, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this in previous videos, but basically, let's say I didn't sleep a whole night, and then someone said, you're going to run 2 marathons in the morning, one after another, and if you don't, we'll kill your whole family. That's going to be the easiest 2 marathons I've ever run in my whole fucking life. There's no chance I'm not running that 2 marathons. There's 0%. Even if I break my leg, I'm still going to complete those 2 marathons. It's going to be the easiest double marathon I've ever run. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to have unlimited motivation, because it's all in your mind. There's no such thing as willpower. It's just about how you frame things. Anyway, I'm going off topic. The point is, I want to keep this quite succinct. Like I always do this. I always fucking bang on. Fuck that. Let's keep it on topic. The topic is, if you failed 1,000 times in the past using a shitty method, when you're going about it in a new way, in a new frame of mind, you can drop that belief that you failed 1,000 times, therefore you're going to fail this time. Why? Because you know why you failed 1,000 times in the past. You failed 1,000 times in the past because you were going about it in a way where you're believing in addiction. If you've read the Freedom Model and you understand what I'm talking about, and you're quite like learned about these sorts of videos, you'll understand that when you believe it's hard, it will be. And then if you're like, oh well, the last 1,000 times I believed it was going to be hard every single time. I believed I was making a massive sacrifice every single time. But of course you failed. It's like jumping off the cliff trying to think that it's going to be different this time. Well, it won't be if you're running the same experiment. You're not running the same experiment this time. If you have reason, you're like, oh, actually, my thoughts are just a thing that produces desire. It's literally that simple. And addiction has just complicated everything. If you go through the evidence and you realize that addiction isn't real, if you do the experiment and you realize that watching porn has no physical effect, it has no mental effect if you watch it mindfully, and then you realize, fuck, could I be happier without porn? And you start to go down that path and you realize you are happier without it, and you realize, fuck, I could live a happy porn-free life, and you start to do that, and then you think, I'm not addicted. It just works. But if the point is, there's all these fixed mindsets, and one of these fixed mindsets is quitting porn is going to be hard because I've done it loads of times in the past and I've failed. Well, the reason why you found it hard loads of times is because you were doing it in a really shitty way. And if you're convinced of that, if you don't believe me, like read the book and come to your own conclusions. I'm not trying to like just convince you with dogma and just hope. And I know that some of you guys are desperate, and I understand that I was desperate too for 6 years. But I don't want you to believe me. You need to come to these own conclusions by yourself. If you can't believe me blindly, it's not going to work. The strongest conclusions you'll come to are the ones that you come to in your own mind. This is why preaching doesn't do shit. I have to guide you to coming to your own conclusions by yourself. So read the Freedom Model. I'll link it below as always. And just realize that just because you failed 1,000 times before, you failed 1,000 times before. Keep that analogy of the fucking cliff jumping. If you failed 1,000 times before doing something which was a shitty method, it makes sense that you'd fail. If you change the method and you start to see success, a bit of success, and then you change the method more and you go more in the Freedom Model direction, and you really start to buy into it, and then you realize it's actually true, then you're going to be free, and it's going to be like you've got the hang glider and you're just going to glide and glide and glide, right? And unlike the hang glider, where the hang glider eventually crashes because there's nothing propelling it forward, you aren't going to be like that. You're actually going to be propelled forward by your own want, your own desire for abstinence. Because abstinence, you realize, is happier in the short term. You're better off living that life in the short term, and it's great. I'm not here to rub it in. I want to paint more of a picture about how I suffered so much. Like I've lived a pretty privileged upbringing. Like I lived in the UK. I had a pretty chill childhood and stuff. Some issues, but whatever. Like compared to people who grew up in fucking Mozambique, it's nothing. But the one problem that I did have that was seriously affecting me is this porn problem. So that's what motivated me to make these videos. Despite any judgment from friends and family, I quite frankly don't care, because there are bigger problems in this world than my own petty fucking worries. Okay, that's off topic, but regardless, I want to make it clear to you that I suffered too. I'm not making these videos from a position where I haven't gone through exactly what you've gone through. I've 100% gone through it, and probably way worse. And therefore I'm motivated to make these videos because I understand the pain you're going through. I felt it, and I've alleviated it for myself. I want to alleviate it for you too, because that's what makes my life fucking like more meaningful. It's what brings me, it's what keeps me going, it's what keeps me happy, it's what I want, it's what I desire strongly. Relieving pain, unnecessary pain from the world in whichever way that I can. And this is the best way that I know, because I've experienced that. I've got first-hand evidence. I've got first-hand evidence of me solving the problem. I know I can do it for other people if I try. I'm trying, and it's going to work. And it is working already. People are reporting to me results already on Telegram. So I just need to make my messaging more succinct. I know that these videos are quite rambly and off-topic and disorganized, but I'm trying. I'm trying to systematize things in the background. I'm trying to coach people in the background, and by coaching people, I'm going to actually try and the methods that I find that are best for coaching people, I'm going to build into videos and better quality content in the future. But it is very hard, and please appreciate that it is actually really fucking hard to get this messaging across. That's the hard part, but I will do it. Although it's hard, I believe it's possible, and I will make it fucking happen. And when it does happen, you're going to have the best, most succinct way to quit PMO for realsies. But for now, you're going to have to bear with these messy videos, okay? So, Freedom Model, link in the description. Read that. If you haven't read it already, please just read it slowly and try and understand as much as possible. And then once you've read it, get in contact with me on Telegram, and I'll help you for free. Okay?